My incredible transformation after 30 days alone on the farm while they flew away. Sam Reese was caught in a whirlwind. The weight of his family's legacy pressed down on him like an anchor, dragging him into the depths of despair. Losing his family's small business in the bustling heart of the city felt like losing a part of himself. As he scrambled to meet the demands of his corporate job, he could hear his parents' voices echoing in the back of his mind. Work hard, stay true to your roots. But in that crowded urban neighborhood where skyscrapers loomed like giants, he felt small and lost. With a deep breath, Sam turned the key in the ignition of his old pickup, leaving the cacophony of city life behind. The skyline retreated into the distance, and the vast open fields of his late grandfather's farm sprawled before him like a canvas waiting to be painted. The beauty felt daunting. Each day began early, wrapped in the soft glow of dawn as the local birds welcomed him with their sweet serenade. But the tranquility was a stark contrast to the grueling labor that awaited him. From tilling the soil to planting seeds, Sam quickly realized farming was no easy feat. He recalled the mannerisms of his parents as they tirelessly worked the family shop, how their hands were calloused but strong, faces worn but proud. It wasn't just about the fruits of their labor, it was about the journey. With each seed planted, a piece of that journey was being rekindled. Yet every time he felt a flicker of hope at accomplishing something, the shadows of doubt crept closer. He could almost hear the whispers from the city, judging him for abandoning the family name, for a monotonous corporate life. Then came the storm. It rolled in like a freight train, dark clouds spiraling overhead. The wind howled, furious and unrelenting, threatening to uproot everything he had tirelessly worked for. Panic surged in his chest. Would he fail again? Was he meant to carry the legacy of family, or was he always destined to falter? Just when the sky opened up and the rain poured down, Sam felt paralyzed, alone against nature's fury. But from the depths of despair emerged unexpected allies. Neighbors came to help, farmers who swung by with tools, smiles, and stories of their own struggles. Their camaraderie lit a spark inside him that he thought was long extinguished. No longer was he just Sam, the guy who lost everything. He was part of something bigger, a community bound by grit and resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach, seriously. It makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the storm finally passed, sunlight poured down, breaking through the clouds like a promise of brighter days. Sam stood there, exhausted but transformed. He looked around at the fruits of collaborative labor, the crops bent but alive after the rain. Driven by the strength of what this community taught him, Sam realized he was not leaving this place unchanged. He decided to return to the city, not as a man defeated by life's pressures, but as a beacon of unity and resilience. Just as he packed his bags, a message flashed on his phone. It was from the city, and it struck him to his core. Was this journey truly over, or had the real fight for his family's legacy just begun? Sam's heart raced as he stared at the screen. The city was calling him back, but the words in the message were laced with urgency. "We need to talk. It's about the business." He held his breath, the weight of those words settling heavily on his chest. Memories rushed in, late nights finishing orders, frantic mornings unlocking the doors, laughter with customers who had become friends. That world felt so distant now, like a dream slipping through his fingers. And here he was, back at the very spot that felt like a refuge. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the sun wash over him. How different everything felt now compared to that frantic man who had fled the city. In the past month, he'd learned to let go of the relentless grind and learned to appreciate small victories, like finally planting a row straight or watching a sprout break through the dirt. Yet that message clawed at him. Though the landscape around him had changed, some things remained the same. Could he really redefine his path? An image of the bustling city popped into his mind, a blend of noise and possibilities. He wanted to fight for his family's legacy, but what did that truly mean? With a shaky hand, Sam opened the message again. A part of him wanted to be brave, to respond decisively, but fear gripped his heart. He could almost hear the doubts from his past whispering in his ear, reminding him of what he had lost. Sam! He nearly dropped his phone as a familiar voice broke through his thoughts. It was Mr. Thompson, his neighbor, and one of the farmers who had helped him during the storm. "Got a minute?" Sam forced a smile, grateful for the interruption. Mr. Thompson's wrinkled face radiated warmth, and he seemed to carry the weight of years in his twinkling eyes. "I was hoping you'd join us for some barbecue tonight. It's our way of saying thanks for all your hard work." His heart swelled. They had become friends in this short time, and the warmth of their camaraderie felt like a lifeline. But as excitement stirred in him, the nagging message lurked in the back of his mind, a dark reminder of the business that awaited him. "Sure, I'd love to," he replied, trying to shake off the anxiety. As they walked back towards the barn, Mr. Thompson shared stories of his own struggles and triumphs. Each tale resonated with Sam, intertwining his past and present. "You know," the old man said, "the city, it's a lot like farming. You have your seasons. Sometimes you plant, sometimes you harvest, and other times you just have to weather the storm." Sam nodded, feeling a flicker of understanding. The community here was solid, something he hadn't felt in ages. Was he really ready to step back into that frantic life in the city, or had he been given a new purpose here? Later that evening, as he sat around the warm glow of a fire with his neighbors, laughter echoing around him, he felt truly alive for the first time in years. The smell of grilled meat filled the air, and he immersed himself in the conversations, soaking in every moment. But the message from the city loomed in the back of his mind, a reminder that decisions awaited him. He knew his heart was pulling him in different directions, and it would take courage to face either choice. With the stars twinkling overhead, a question bubbled to the surface. What would happen if he chose to stay and fight for this new chapter instead? And as the laughter grew louder, so did his own internal struggle, swirling with anticipation and uncertainty. He realized then that returning to the city might not be just about him. It could reshape the legacy of his family in an entirely different way. But how? The campfire flickered, echoing with stories of the past, even as he contemplated the jigsaw of his future. What awaited him on the other side of that decision? And with each laugh and conversation, the fire flickered a little brighter, igniting the possibility of change that Sam never saw coming. The crackling campfire warmed Sam's face as he listened to another story from Mr. Thompson. The laughter poured from the group, a sound that fueled the flickering light and danced in the corners of the darkening barnyard. Everyone seemed so at peace. Sam, however, felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to plunge into an unknown deep. He took a sip from his drink, trying to shake the tightness in his throat. Every word that Mr. Thompson spoke was like a grounding line, tugging at him to stay rooted in the present instead of spiraling back into memories of fluorescent lights and endless deadlines. "All you really need is a plan to get through the tough seasons," Mr. Thompson said, "and a good community to help you weather the storms." Sam's heart tightened at that. He realized how true those words were. The city had offered its own kind of community, yet it felt superficial, like a passing breeze. Here, he was part of something real, something that dug roots deep into the earth. Before he knew it, the fire was reduced to embers and everyone started to wander off, one by one, retreating into the barn or toward their homes. Sam lingered for a moment, lost in thought, the flickering embers reminding him of the burning question in his heart. Could he walk away from this newfound purpose? He glanced down at his phone, the bright screen glaring back at him like a beacon of his past. The message still lingered, and each moment he delayed responding felt more torturous. That's when he heard a soft voice behind him. "You all right, Sam?" It was Sarah, Mr. Thompson's granddaughter. She was barely in her 20s, and Sam remembered her bright laughter from earlier in the evening. "Yeah," he said quickly, masking his inner turmoil. "Seems like you've been through a lot," she remarked, her dark eyes searching his. "City life can be tough, but you seemed really happy tonight, like you belong here." Those words hit him square in the chest. Sam opened his mouth to respond, but hesitated. Did he belong here? Every part of him wanted to say yes, but the ghost of the city loomed large, each memory weighing down his heart. "It's not that simple," he finally admitted, his voice low. "I feel torn between two lives." "Sometimes," she said, looking up at the stars framing the night sky, "you have to choose what fills your heart over what fills your bank account." Her words hung in the air, an invisible thread connecting them as they both stared up at the glimmering stars. Sam thought about the city again, the noise, the stress, the push and pull of ambition. But what had that gotten him except exhaustion? "Why did you leave?" she asked suddenly, breaking his thoughts. He hesitated, then replied, "I guess I wanted to find something more than just the hustle. I was losing myself in it all." Sarah nodded softly. "Then maybe you're already on the right path. Sometimes the hardest choice is the best choice." Her words echoed in his mind, swirling and settling like autumn leaves. As he stood there beside her, gazing at the sprawling canvas above, Sam felt the knot of uncertainty begin to unravel, just slightly. But returning to the city would mean facing everything he'd turned away from, the expectations, the pressures, the legacy. Could he really reshape it all? As he exchanged a few more words with Sarah, the conversation gradually faded into silence. The world around them was quiet now, leaving only the soft sounds of the night filling the void. Sam felt an undeniable pull in his heart towards the future, both thrilling and terrifying. Tomorrow, he thought, a new resolve sparking within him. "Tomorrow," I'll reply. But even as he walked away from the warm light of the fire, that nagging idea lingered. What if facing the city didn't mean losing this place? What if it meant bringing a piece of this life back with him? With a mind racing with possibilities, Sam turned to look back at the barn, feeling that something big was about to shift. And just like that, he knew the next step would be one he would never forget. But little did he know, that decision might put everything he cherished in more jeopardy than ever before. The morning sun spilled light across the farm, casting long shadows that danced on the ground. Sam woke up with a sense of urgency. The night had felt heavy, filled with dreams that twisted and turned, echoing the turmoil in his heart. He tossed aside the blankets, his mind racing with the thought of that response he hoped to craft. As he stepped outside, the smell of fresh earth and blooming flowers filled his lungs. The dew-kissed grass sparkled underfoot, each blade a reminder of the new beginnings surrounding him. Mr. Thompson was already outside, tending to the chickens. He wore an easy smile as he spotted Sam. "Mornin', Sam. You're up early." "Yeah," Sam replied, forcing a smile back. "Just thinking about things." "Good to do that out here," Mr. Thompson said, leaning down to collect fresh eggs. "Nature has a way of helping people find their way. What's on your mind?" Sam felt the weight of those words settle on him like a soft blanket. "I'm torn between this life and the one in the city," he murmured, unsure of how to express the turmoil inside him. Mr. Thompson straightened up, his eyes sharp yet gentle. "Son, you need to decide what matters most. We don't gain anything by holding on to two worlds if neither of them brings us peace." His heartbeat echoed in his ears. How could he choose? The thrill and the chaos of the city called to him, but here, surrounded by laughter and warmth, felt like home. Later that morning, Sam joined Sarah in the barn as she cleaned out the stalls. There was something calming about the rhythmic motion of the pitchfork in the hay, but his mind was a storm. "Sarah," he began, hesitating as she looked up at him, curiosity dancing in her eyes. "What if I don't know what I want?" "It's okay to feel lost sometimes," she said, wiping her hands on her jeans. "You're not alone in that." Her honesty brought a flicker of hope to Sam. "It's just part of the journey. Maybe the answer will come when you stop looking for it so hard." He took a moment to soak in her words, feeling the urgency in him soften. Could perhaps silence be the answer? Today, he could explore this notion of peace that the farm offered. That afternoon, Sam wandered through the wildflowers, letting the gentle breeze tussle his hair. Each petal swayed in rhythm with his thoughts. He reached a small hill that overlooked the sprawling fields, a sea of green and gold. For the first time, he genuinely felt the weight lift off his shoulders. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and allowed himself to imagine. What would it feel like to wake up here every day? To belong to this land? The vision flooded him with warmth, filling the void he had nurtured. But what of the city, the buzz of excitement? It wasn't easy to reconcile the two. As dusk settled, Sam returned to the barn, the horizon painted in beautiful hues of orange and lavender. He could hear laughter echoing softly. The people he had grown to care for gathered, sharing stories and joys around a makeshift table. Mr. Thompson spotted him and waved. "Join us, Sam," he called. Sam's heart fluttered with the question that lingered. Could he really embrace this life? He felt Sarah's eyes on him as he approached the group. In that moment, standing among them, he understood that each decision would ripple far beyond himself. With a trembling heart, he pulled out his phone, feeling that weight once more, the pull from the city. He frowned at it, then back at the faces smiling at him. Perhaps he didn't need to choose just yet. But as he took a seat and the laughter enveloped him, he caught Sarah's gaze, her expression knowing and supportive. This chapter felt pivotal, like a compass. Would it guide him home or lead him back to a past he wasn't sure he wanted anymore? Just then, his phone vibrated, a message lighting up the darkening sky. It was from his boss. And in that instant, he knew the most important decision lay just ahead. Would he dare to read it? Sam stared at his phone, the screen illuminating his face in the now dim barn. His heart raced, each pulse echoing in his ears like distant thunder. The laughter around him faded into a muffled hum, replaced by the nagging voice in his head, urging him to read the message. His thumb hovered over the notification, hovering between two worlds, two lives pulling at him with equal force. He took a deep breath and glanced around the table. Mr. Thompson, with his easy smile, retold a story of a raccoon that had become a frequent visitor to the farm. Sarah leaned forward, her laughter brightening the gathering, while others joined in with animated gestures. It was a picture of pure joy, one that seemed impossibly far from his life in the city, cluttered with demands and expectations. What would they think if they knew he was about to go back? The thought made his stomach churn. He imagined sharing this moment with the friends he had made here, the warmth, the laughter, the simple joys. Could he leave that for the hectic buzz of noise and ambition waiting for him in the city? "Sam," Mr. Thompson called, pulling him back into the present. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Yeah, just lost in thought," Sam muttered, forcing a smile. "Thoughts can be heavy sometimes," Sarah said softly, her eyes searching his. "What's weighing on you?" He swallowed hard, the tension knotting tighter in his throat. The message was still there, waiting for him. "I got a message from work," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Work?" Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed. "You mean you're thinking about going back?" "I don't know," Sam sighed, feeling the rest of the world slip away. "There's a part of me that feels like I need to, but it's different here. Everything feels better." "Choice isn't always easy," Mr. Thompson said, his tone steady and kind. "But you've got to listen to what your heart is telling you. Your heart knows what you truly want, even when your mind tries to complicate things." With those words, a tingle spread through Sam. Maybe Mr. Thompson was right. Maybe he needed to filter out the noise. Feeling the urge to escape the heaviness, he stood up, making his way towards the exit. He stepped outside, where the gentle coolness wrapped around him like a protective cloak. The stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, a scattered canvas of dreams just waiting to be interpreted. He leaned against the barn, breathing in the crisp air. His phone buzzed again, bringing him back to reality. This time, he made a decision. If he could lean into the silence, face his uncertainties, maybe he didn't have to decide just yet. With a resolved heart, he turned back toward the laughter inside, letting go of the weight that pulled him to the city. The laughter seemed brighter, more inviting, nurturing the hope that blossomed within him. As he stepped back into the barn, Sarah caught his gaze once more, a spark of understanding passing between them. He felt lighter, as if a door had been cracked open. "Everything okay?" she asked, concern laced with warmth. "Yeah," he replied, a smile creeping onto his face. "I think I'm ready to share something." Just then, the vibrations of his phone shook in his pocket again. This time, he noticed it was a call. It was his boss. A wave of doubt washed over him, but the laughter and warmth from earlier anchored him in place. Would it be that easy to turn it away? As he stared at the screen, hands trembling with cautious anticipation, Sam realized that whatever happened next might just change everything. Would he answer and step back into the chaos, or would he choose to explore this newfound peace? The laughter inside the barn was intoxicating, wrapping around Sam like a soft blanket. But the persistent vibration in his pocket tugged at his resolve. He glanced down, the name on the screen glaring back at him. His boss, the beacon of his old life, calling him back to the familiar chaos. Time seemed to stand still. A million thoughts raced through his mind. The late nights spent under fluorescent lights, the pressure of deadlines, the constant buzz of the city, and then the serene comfort of the farm, the warmth of laughter, the sense of community. It felt like choosing between two pieces of himself. "Sam?" Sarah's voice broke through his haze, drawing his attention. "You don't have to answer if you don't want to." "I know," he replied, hesitating for a beat. "But it's hard." He struggled to find the right words. "What if they need me?" "They have plenty of other people. You need to think about what you want," she said, her gaze steady and reassuring. Taking a deep breath, he stepped outside again. The night air was refreshing. The stars above twinkled brightly, each one seemingly a wish within reach. He put the phone against his chest, taking a moment to ground himself. Did he really want to leap back into the storm? As he stood there, he pulled his phone back out and considered sending the call to voicemail. But he hesitated. What if this call led to an opportunity? The voice of his mentor echoed in his mind. "Listen to your heart." "I can't just abandon my job," he murmured, half to himself. "Sam," Mr. Thompson's voice boomed from inside the barn. "You coming back in, or are you inviting all the coyotes to join us?" Sam chuckled lightly. "Just a minute." He was torn, caught at the intersection of heart and duty. Maybe he could have both, a little of each world. Yet something in him rebelled against compromise. He wanted to find something real, something that felt right. When he re-entered the barn, the comfort of the familiar enveloped him. Conversations carried on, and laughter bounced off the wooden walls. But as he surveyed the faces of his friends, he felt a surge of warmth. They were happy, content, something he craved too. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked again, catching his eye. "Still weighing my options," he replied, feeling the edges of apprehension soften. But he paused, his heart racing. "I think I want to stay." The smiles that spread across their faces ignited a spark inside him. Fresh energy filled the space. It was as if they were all in on a secret that he had just discovered. "Really?" Sarah asked, her eyes lighting up. "Yeah," Sam said, his voice gaining strength. "I want to find out what this place can really offer me." He could feel the moment shifting within him, a transformation taking root. Could he be brave enough to embrace the unknown? Suddenly, the phone in his pocket buzzed again, almost as if it sensed the shift in his resolve. Was it fate or merely coincidence? He felt a flutter of nervousness in his stomach, mixed with anticipation. He eventually pulled it out, staring at the screen. This time, it wasn't his boss. It was an unknown number. His instinct told him to ignore it, but curiosity pushed him to pick up. "Hello?" he answered, keeping his voice steady. "Sam, we need to talk." The voice on the line was urgent and clipped. "It's about the project." As he listened, his heart raced again. This was the call, the one that could thrust him back into the whirlwind he had been trying to avoid. But were they even aware of the transformation he was undergoing? Did they know he was ready to fight for a new beginning? Sam's mind raced as possibilities tangled within him. He glanced towards his friends, laughter filling the room, hope blooming in his chest. Would this call drag him back into a life he was trying to escape, or would it lead him towards something meaningful? In that crucial moment, he realized he was no longer just a passive player in his life. He had the power to choose. But the question remained, would he have the strength to follow his new path? "Sam?" The voice on the line cut through the warmth of the barn, leaving him momentarily frozen, the color draining from his face. "Yeah?" he replied, his voice betraying the uncertainty swirling inside him. "We have a problem. The project's not going the way we hoped, and we need you to come back. You know how to straighten this mess out." He could hear the urgency, the desperation. A part of him felt the tug of responsibility. Another part of him flinched, remembering the exhaustion of late nights and relentless phones ringing. He glanced back at Sarah and the others, their laughter still echoing around him, a stark contrast to the chaos represented by the voice on the phone. "Is this really the only solution?" he pressed, his heart thumping loud in his chest. "Honestly, yes. You're the only one who can get us back on track. We've been struggling without you." Guilt clawed at him. He didn't want to let them down, but the thought of stepping back into that world made his stomach churn. "I need time to think," he managed, trying to hold on to the small victory of his earlier decision. "Time is something we don't have. This could make or break us," the voice continued. But Sam had already turned away from the barn, seeking the solitude of the moonlit night. He pressed the phone closer to his ear as if it could help absorb his spiraling thoughts. "I can't just drop everything here. I'm part of something good right now. People depend on you, Sam. You know how important this is." He could picture it, the hustle of the office, the tension building with each passing hour. His old life felt like quicksand, ready to pull him down the moment he showed any weakness. "I'll think about it," he mumbled, and ended the call, thrusting the phone back into his pocket as if it were a weight he couldn't bear. Outside, he took a deep breath, grounding himself in the cool night air. The stars shone brighter than they had in years, offering a glimmer of hope. The laughter spilled from the barn, a reminder of the warmth he'd found with those around him. He turned back toward the familiar sounds, letting himself bask in the camaraderie that filled the space. "Hey, you okay?" Sarah's voice broke through the heavy thoughts, her expression mirroring his unease. Just got an unexpected call that might change everything, he admitted, unsure how to articulate what he felt. The color in her cheeks faded a bit, as if sensing the weight of his decision. I know what you're thinking. I can see it, she said gently. But remember why you wanted to stay. This place, these people, they need you here too, Sam. He felt a bubble of emotions rising, and he wished he could find the right words to explain how much they all meant to him. You're right, he said finally, his voice steadier. But what if I'm not able to walk away from it all again? The silence between them was heavy, filled with a kind of tension he couldn't shake. It wasn't just about the job, it was about his identity. Could he find a way to keep both parts of himself alive? Why not take your time, Sarah suggested, her gaze unwavering. You've made a choice to be here, and that matters. He searched her eyes, feeling the swell of hope and uncertainty clash inside him. And if it isn't enough, then you'll find out what you really want, she said quietly, as if she believed in him more than he did himself. In that moment, something shifted in Sam. The path wasn't just black and white. Maybe there were colors he hadn't seen before, shades that blended the old and the new. But then another buzz in his pocket broke the moment, pulling him back to reality again, a reminder that time was ticking. With a racing heart, he took the phone out once more. It was another call. Would it be another plea to return to chaos or something unexpected? His hands shook as he answered, not ready for what lay ahead. Sam, we need your help, urgently. The urgency in the voice set his mind racing, but he felt stronger now. He wasn't just Sam the worker, he was Sam the dreamer, the fighter. Would his choice now lead him to claim a life he truly wanted? As he stood there, phone pressed to his ear, Sam's heart raced in tandem with his thoughts. There was no escaping the weight of the choices that loomed over him like a dark cloud. What's going on? He asked, trying to sound composed. It's about the merger. Things have gotten complicated. You know how fragile the balance is. We need you to come back and patch it up. The voice on the line crackled slightly, yet the urgency resonated clear. What's going on? He asked, trying to sound composed. It's about the merger. Things have gotten complicated. You know how fragile the balance is. We need you to come back and patch it up. The voice on the line crackled slightly, yet the urgency resonated clear as day. Sam's mind flickered to the frantic meetings, the constant strategizing, and the suffocating pressure that defined his old life. But just as quickly, visions of the barn, Sarah, and the laughter of his friends pierced through. He saw the warmth, the tangible sense of community that filled the air around him now. I can't just leave, he said, his words coming out softer than intended. Sam, this is serious. We're counting on you. He could hear the tremor in their voice, the unspoken plea that echoed in that familiar tone. It reminded him that he had always been the steady one, the anchor that kept their ship from capsizing. But here, on the farm, he had found something infinitely more valuable, a sense of belonging. Listen, he said, the resolve building within him. I'm not sure I can fit back into that world again. Things are different now. I'm different. A beat of silence followed, but he could feel the desperation thick in the air. We don't have time for this. You're the best. Just tell me you'll come back. As he hung up, confusion washed over him like a wave. The stars twinkled overhead, but suddenly they felt distant, cold. He took a few steps back toward the barn, uncertainty gnawing at his gut. Sam? Sarah's eyes searched his, filled with concern as he approached. What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. A ghost? He chuckled dryly, but the laughter didn't reach his eyes. They want me back at the company, urgently. Her hand found his, warm and steady. What do you want to do? Sam glanced back toward the open barn, where the laughter of his friends danced in the night air. This place had become his sanctuary, a place where he could slow down and finally breathe. The truth, his throat felt tight. I don't want to go back to that chaos. I want to stay here. Then stay, she said simply, yet her voice had a firmness that struck a chord within him. You fought hard for this, she added. You've built something real. His heart fluttered at her words, a small flicker of hope igniting. Yet beneath it lingered the fear of disappointing those that had depended on him for so long. Could he abandon them? Could he really choose himself? Yeah, but, he hesitated, insecurity flooding in. What if I'm being selfish? What if by staying here I close off the opportunities that could change everything? Sarah squeezed his hand, grounding him. Sometimes the greatest changes come from following your heart, not just your career path. You're not just their employee, you're their friend, and you're more than that. You're what's truly important here. For the first time, he allowed the gravity of her words to sink in. Maybe all that pressure really didn't matter if he chose a life that was fulfilling instead. Just then, another buzz from his pocket jolted him back. He pulled out the phone, hesitating to see who it was this time. It was a text, a stark reminder from the team, one that blinked with urgency. We can't do this without you, Sam. He glanced up at Sarah, the conflict etching lines in his forehead. What if I really can't balance both worlds? Then you'll have to choose, and whatever that choice is, I'll support you, she affirmed, her voice a comforting balm against the turmoil. In the quiet that followed, he could feel his heart warring with his mind. Would he choose the light of a dream worth fighting for, or would he chase shadows that could drown him once more? Suddenly, his resolve began to clarify. The fear that had paralyzed him ebbed away, replaced by a sense of purpose. There had to be a way to navigate these paths, a way to embrace change without losing himself. But as the weight of that decision loomed larger, the phone began to buzz again, pulling him back to harsh realities. Sam, are you going to call us back? The message read, drumming urgency into his already chaotic thoughts. There, under the radiant stars, he took a deep breath. Would he have the courage to stand firm in what he felt was right? Or would he take the plunge back into a life he was trying so hard to escape? As he stood on the precipice of choice, the question remained, what would he ultimately choose? The cool night air wrapped around Sam like a comforting blanket, but the chill of uncertainty still nipped at his heels. He stood there, holding Sarah's gaze, the weight of that text hovering ominously between them. They really need me, he murmured, almost as if saying it aloud could turn a wish into reality. They also need you to be happy, Sam, she replied, her voice steady and unwavering. And you deserve that too. He shifted his weight, torn. Every beat of his heart echoed with the memories of his former life. The boardrooms, the travel, the adrenaline of closing deals. Yet those memories were growing fainter by the day. The laughter of friends around a bonfire, the sight of corn swaying in the breeze, and the simple joy of a shared meal felt far more profound now. Look, Sarah continued, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. You don't have to decide right this minute. Just think about it. Talk to them if you need, but don't feel like you have to choose them over me, over us. The us struck a chord deep within him. Could he really build a future here, something more solid than the wavering roof of corporate success? The thought was intoxicating, yet laced with fear. If he committed to this life, what did that mean for his past and for the people he used to call friends? Okay, Sam said after a long pause, his voice barely a whisper. But if I don't call back, will they understand? Looked down at his phone, its glow stark against the dim light of the stars. People can surprise you, especially those who care about you, Sarah said. And if they don't understand, then maybe they never truly knew you. The implications of her words weighed heavily on him. Was he really putting himself first if he chose Sarah and the farm? Or was he simply trying to escape the chaos of his old life? Sam squeezed her hand back, seeking strength in her warmth. I just need to know what feels right. Then take your time. I'm right here, she assured him, as the night wrapped them in a cocoon of trust and understanding. As they stood silently, gazing at the stars, something stirred in Sam, a resolve burgeoning like the sun on the horizon, pushing back the darkness. Within moments, his phone buzzed again, a soft reminder that reality was still demanding his attention. But this time, he didn't pull it out. Instead, he focused on the moment, the laughter in the distance, the gentle sway of the leaves in the night wind, and the feeling of belonging that wrapped around him as securely as a favorite old coat. "Have you ever thought about what you truly want?" Sarah asked suddenly, her hazel eyes sparkling under the moonlight. "What do you mean?" he replied, shifting the weight of the conversation. "I mean, what if you could do both? What if there's a way to blend your old world with this one?" she proposed, excitement flashing in her expression. "You've always been a bridge between people, Sam. Why not try to do that again?" His mind raced at the thought. Was there a way to meld his skills in a new arena? A way to innovate without sacrificing the life he was beginning to build here? "Could I?" he pondered, imagining a fresh start with newfound connections that didn't shatter his sense of self. "Of course. There's a reason you're so good at what you do. You just need a fresh canvas to paint on," she encouraged, optimism spilling from her. As the idea swirled in his head, a myriad of possibilities flickered to life. Could he bring a piece of his world back to the farm? The excitement began to feel palpable, but so did the uncertainty, manifesting as butterflies in his stomach. But before he could voice his thoughts, the dim light of his phone caught his attention again. Another message, but this one was different. "The deadline is approaching fast, Sam. We need to know." His heart raced again, thunder pounding in his ears. He had to decide. Would he dare to blend both worlds or walk away for good? Every tick of the clock echoed around him, reminding him that time was running out. He looked back to Sarah, who was watching him intently, ready to support whatever choice he made. Would he step forward into uncharted territory or retreat into the safety of the known? The moment of clarity was upon him, but it was tangled with doubt. As his fingers hovered over the phone, he braced himself for a leap into the unknown. What if embracing change was the key to finding his true calling? What if this was just the beginning? As dawn broke, Sam felt a new energy coursing through him. The sun spilled golden warmth over the farm, turning every blade of grass into jewels glittering in the light. The laughter from the night before still echoed in his heart, interwoven with seeds of hope. He stood at the edge of the barn, absorbing the beauty that had enveloped him during the last month. The warmth of community and the spirit of resilience wrapped around him like a favorite blanket. He glanced at his phone one last time, the screen reflecting the light of the sun. "I need to decide," he whispered, the weight of those words grounding him. With a deep breath, he let the doubts melt away like frost under the heat of the sun. This call to return to the city didn't have to define the end of his journey. It could be the start of something new, something meaningful. "Sam!" The bright voice of Sarah broke through his thoughts. She approached, her face lit with concern and warmth. "You okay? You've got that look again." "Let me tell you what I've decided," he said, stepping toward her. "I realized something during this time. I don't have to pick one over the other. I can serve the legacy of my family by bringing everything I've learned back into the fold." Her eyes widened and a smile tugged at her lips. "So you're staying, but you're going to blend your experiences." "Exactly. I want to take these values, this community spirit, back to the city. I can engage people there in ways I've never considered. I know my family business needs me, but I can build bridges. Maybe create a model that fosters these connections across both worlds," he explained, a newfound fervor igniting within. "Sam, that's brilliant," Sarah exclaimed, her excitement contagious. "You could be a force for real change. You're not just a city guy anymore. you're part of this community too." Hope danced in his chest, igniting the determination that he thought had dimmed. "I'm going to talk to them, to my boss. But first, I need to reach out to the community here. I might be part of the city, but this farm, this family, I want them to know they are essential to who I am." True joy sparkled in Sarah's eyes. "Then let's do it together. We'll rally everyone and show them how your journey can link both worlds." With a heart swelling with gratitude, he nodded. They spent that day gathering neighbors, sharing stories, and sketching plans for a community event that would help him tell his story back in the city. As they brainstormed under the soft blue sky, he could feel the energy around him building. The bonds he had forged in such a short time felt like roots anchoring him deeply. Days turned into a whirlwind of excitement as he organized a community day, a celebration of dreams, triumphs, and the spirit that brought them all together. He invited his colleagues from the city to see what this experience had taught him and how it could translate back to urban life. When the day arrived, Sam's heartbeat echoed in the jumbled thoughts racing through his mind. The excitement danced in the air as both communities came together beneath a canopy of laughter and shared stories. Food was shared, hands shook, and connections were made, weaving a tapestry of unity. As Sam stood at the center of the gathering, he looked out at the sea of faces, some familiar, others new. They were friends, neighbors, colleagues, the very essence of what belonging felt like. He cleared his throat and the crowd hushed, eyes turning toward him in anticipation. "Thank you all for being here today. It feels surreal to bring both parts of my life together like this," he started, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "You have all taught me so much about community, perseverance, and the importance of coming together. I realized I don't have to choose between the two worlds I inhabit. We can uplift each other, share ideas, and build connections that'll transcend our definitions of home." The crowd lit up with applause, enthusiasm wrapping around him like a warm embrace. He felt the urge to cry, pride swelling up with every word. This was what it meant to carry his legacy forward, sharing lessons learned and fortifying bonds of connection across worlds. As he looked out at all the smiling faces, including Sarah's, he knew that this was only the beginning. Sam was no longer just a man standing at crossroads, but one who had found a way to weave his story with those he loved. Together, they would weather any storm that came their way. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. As laughter filled the air, Sam smiled, knowing this transformation was one that would echo far beyond any corporate office or busy city street. It was about reclaiming his roots and redefining the idea of family, not just the one he was born into, but the one he had found. And as the event drew to a close, a thought echoed in his mind. This wasn't just a moment, it was a movement, a mission to connect and inspire. And that mission would carry on long after the sun dipped below the horizon. Live your truth, he thought, embrace community, and soar as high as you dare. You need to subscribe now to not miss any exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait, not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can make a difference.